So I'm really excited this weekend to get the jobs done that are on my list. I'd just like to say a huge thank you to everybody who subscribed. This week I hit 100 subscribers, which is amazing, and 3,000 views, which is equally amazing. So thank you to everybody, and anybody who's watching that's not subscribed, please do so and hit the bell and you can get all my updates. It's a big weekend this weekend. The chicks are coming home and I've got a bit to do on the coop, and I'm going to show you what I'm doing. I'd also like to try and get some of that digging done. Just depends whether the wind and the rain stays away. Today's what we call in this sort of area mizzle, a mix of mist and drizzle, but it's not going to stop me. Scamp's with me today. Right, Scamp. Scamp, say hello. Good boy. So he's helping me. Actually, he's going for a walk soon. I thought I'd show you what's in this bucket. I've got a fair amount of stuff to bring over this morning. But in this bucket, yes, there's some gloves, which Mrs. K's been washing for me. Thank you very much. But also is eggshell. Now this has been oven dried. Whenever we cook, we put eggs or eggshells into the oven and we dry them out. That's essential, otherwise they get smelly. And this is part of my slug strategy for 2020, and where I've got things that really suffered last year, like the cosmos. I'm going to put this round as a physical barrier, and it's free, and we just keep all the way through the winter making more and more of this fantastic slug repellent. At least I hope it is. So keeping the chickens is really pretty straightforward, but one of the things that happens during the summer is that they drink quite a lot, and as you know from my last video, I've put these hanging water feeders inside the coop, and I usually have one in the run as well, but they get through quite a lot of water. More importantly, when other people look after the chickens for us, that's a bit of a chore. So my cunning plan is to try and put in place an automatic watering facility so that the chickens can take water whenever they like, and the replenishment of that water is really straightforward. And to do that, I'm going to use an automatic waterer. It's like a bowl with a valve in it and a float, and as the water goes down from the chickens feeding it, so the water comes in from the supply and fills it back up again. And the challenge here is the supply. There's no electric in this allotment, and there's also no water on tap, so I'm going to be using rainwater, and I'll show you how I'm going to achieve that. At the moment there's no guttering along the top of the coop, and all the runoff from the rain, and we do have a fair amount of rain here, just falls onto the land. And what I want to do is capture that rainfall, so I'm going to put in place a gutter all along there. Got a bit of a challenge because there's no actual lip, so I think the guttering will probably stand a bit proud. So I'm going to have to work out how to get the water to come off of the roof and into that, and then in theory it'll come down the downpipe into a water butt, which will then feed the waterer. That's on my plans for today, amongst other things. But first of all, it's time to walk the dog. Hey Scamp, shall we go? Shall we go? Are you ready? Scamp likes his usual couple of laps around this local area. Wanted to show you this. This is an old hawthorn tree which became a victim of Storm Dennis. Managed to get through Kiara, but unfortunately looks like the trunk was pretty rotten, and one blown out of the ground there, and also some damage in these old trees here. Just goes to show how fierce that wind was. Anyway, back to what we were doing. Any day I come over the allotment, the one exciting thing that I like to do is have a look in the polytunnel and see what's happened to the seeds I've been sowing. So whilst I've got lots of things I need to get going with, this one comes first. So let's have a look. Also I need to check whether there's any watering needing to be done. So, no, it doesn't look like it needs any watering. Everything's coming on well there. I've added down the bottom here a couple of garlic chives that we grew last year. They were in the garden, the chickens have pecked the tops off, but they'll come back. So, looking forward to those. So that group's okay. The broad beans and the cauliflower and cabbage coming on a treat, as is the white Lisbon. And then under here, oops, yeah, the leek's really coming on nicely, and the beetroot, oh, and some parsley really coming there, and the greyhound cabbage. So all the seeds on the base doing really well, and the new ones only done 5 days ago. Nothing as yet that I can see. Not surprising, it's been jolly cold here over the last week or so. Temperature down to -3.2. No doubt that would have held them off. So last week I had some wood delivered, and I think it's going to be that area that I want held back with the raspberries in. But I'm also tempted to change the beds in the polytunnel. So 50-50 at the moment, but there's no doubt about it, the priority isn't either of those things. It's getting this little bit of remaining soil dug, and as it's not raining, I think I'm going to go for it. But I do need to move that wood out of the way. I know I keep getting distracted, but it's so exciting to see all these buds coming on the trees. Fantastic. And down are the red currants. You can start to see the leaves shooting on these new stems. This bush is looking fantastic. And then, wow, just look at these black currants. Fantastic to see everything starting to shoot. It's literally covered in buds that are bursting. And the gooseberry, which I uncovered when I pruned all of this, it's just covered in leaves. So spring's here. The weather might not know, but the plants are certainly of that opinion. These jostaberries really starting to sprout now. Exciting stuff. Try and keep your barrow near to where you're digging. Makes it so much easier to move the weeds a short distance than to be walking backwards and forwards to it. Every bit of energy that you've got into this and not into unnecessary steps. And just to remind you, this is what I'm working on, getting rid of mare's tail and couch grass. And although this is going to be no dig, it'll make life so much easier if this is gone. Well, that was a good bit of exercise, and I think I've done enough now to earn some time doing something else. And that's the way I like to work. Bit of physical, go and give your back a rest, go and do something else, and then come back to this fresh with a bit more energy, and away you go again. So step one with this is get the gutter along here, I think, get it as close as I can. I'll need to strip out this hanging basket bracket, we'll use that somewhere else, and these are the materials I'm using, and hopefully we can get that up there. I interrupt this broadcast to make an announcement. Mrs. K has just delivered 3 meters of additional guttering in her Toyota Aygo. Believe me, that was a challenge. With this sticking out the front window, driving relatively slow, with it going like this, she wasn't best pleased, but there we are, she got there. So, one of the things that I need to take into consideration with this is the end stop, which obviously stops the water going out the wrong end, and that doesn't add any length to it, but this piece does, and therefore I probably need to fit it on before I go any further. And it's quite simply clicks into place like so. Really very simple. And in this downpipe section I bought one of these, which is a leaf guard, which will just stop the leaves and any branches that fall from the tree going into the water butt and causing a clog, and it'll keep the water that much cleaner. That might seem really obvious, but for a guttering like this to work properly, you need an incline on it so that the water flows into the downpipe. So in reality, if you've got a really straight roof, you need to create that incline falsely by starting high at one end and lower at the other. In this case, I can keep absolutely straight with the roof because the whole roof is on a slope, and that'll do the job for me. But I'm going to test it anyway with some water. As I said, the roof doesn't have a lip on it, and therefore there's a danger that the water is just going to fall down between the guttering and the wood. This is a window panel from a very old greenhouse that I had probably about 8 years ago, and I held on to these. You never know what you're going to need, and today's the day they're going to come into use. I'm going to cut these sections out and I'm going to use that plastic lip so that the water runs off the roof. I'll poke this underneath the roof and then it'll run down and into the gutter. So finally these old panels will come into some use. Well, that turned out to be a really fiddly job. A harder job than actually putting up the gutter. But we got there in the end, and it's really important that water can run over. So now the acid test is to water the roof and see if it runs into the gutter. Perfect. So this is the water butt that I'm going to use. It's not huge and it'll serve the purpose. So we just need to get it flat, and we need to get the downpipe running into it. So first thing is to get some sort of base, and I think what I'm going to do is put a paving stone down here, and that will keep it flat. If you don't have a level with you, which I don't, one simple way of seeing if you're getting close to level is just to put a bowl or something plastic down, pour some water on it, and there's a slight incline, which is absolutely fine. So with this water butt comes a simple stand which just locks together. It's got no real strength to it or rigidity, but of course once the weight of the water butt is on top of here, it won't move anywhere. So the water is going to go from here into the coop and into the water container, and I just need to make sure that I can get in there. I give myself enough clearance, which I think I have, and then it's about getting the water from the gutter into the water butt. Getting the water into the butt has got its challenges. The water butt comes with this fitment, which the downpipe sits over the top of that hole, and the water comes out of the tube, and some of the water carries on down into the drain, and that's really for the purpose of a house downpipe. Now I don't want the water going down into the drain, I want it all to go into the water butt. So I found this cap, which is the top of a bird nut feeder, and it fits over there just perfectly. So the water will now hit that, disperse to the sides and come out of the tube, and none of it can go down the center. So this has a lid, and then your downpipe goes into the top of that, and then we'll have a hose which feeds the water down into the water butt. I've got to work out how to get that into the water butt, but I'll do that in due course. So after some persuasion, I've managed to get this fitting onto the top of the water butt lid. Now all I need to do is make the final connections. There we go, job done. I put this plate on my shed workbench just to give a really good strong surface, but this piece is always needed to be cutting. So while I've got the power saw over here today, I'm just going to take this piece off, and hopefully then it will neaten it all up. There we are, that's a much neater job, and saved me poking my eye out on the corner. Well, I've been putting it off for long enough. I need to get back to that digging and crack that bit of extra space. These bushes are found on the verge, or if you're in America, on the sidewalk. Unbelievable that somebody might get rid of these, but I think somebody was moving house, they took the pots and decided they didn't want these bushes. So I rescued them, put them into pots, and I'm thinking they'll help create some of the fence line or hedge line that I've got that's fairly exposed. So I'm going to put them in there, and they've got a chance of recovering. I think they're doing okay. I've got no idea what they are. So if anybody knows what this bush is, it's got buds on it at the moment, but no apparent leaves, then let me know. Put it in the comments below. I'd be intrigued to know what they are. So I had to change my plans halfway through. This appears to be some sort of shaft, which I guess once held a post that maybe gone rotten, and this is a concrete plinth around it. So I'm going off to the left, makes little difference to me, and it's interesting that post is there. I might have to use that one day, and I'll remember that. I'm going to put a stake in here and just try and pull the bush back onto the fence, and that way I'm hopeful that it will intertwine and become established. Convinced that in days gone by, people thought that plastic would decompose. If I had £1 or $1 for every bag I've pulled out of the ground in this allotment, I'd be a rich man. So tomorrow's the big day. The chickies are coming back, and we're going to add a few more to them. So the plan is to bring them all together at one time. So just a quick tidy round, and hopefully we're good to go. That's me done for today. That space for all the fruit bushes is getting smaller and smaller. Very little digging left to do, and we'll get to it soon. See you tomorrow. Then back home, the chickens have come back from the garden and into the coop, and they're looking happy. We haven't introduced the new ones to them yet. They're inside the main hutch, and we'll just go and have a quick look at them. And here they are. So from us for today, it's goodbye. I do hope you enjoyed the video today. If you did, click the subscribe button, click the like button, and if you want updates from me each time I upload a video, click the bell and select all. I do hope you have a great day. Diolch yn fawr.